Well, let's get started here. I'm back here with Dan Lowe and NAPA, Native American Petroglyph Archaeological Association. And the basic focus of NAPA are three main topics. And I'm just going to go over them briefly. It's the first most important topic is the petroglyph studies of unique sites, map sites, the petroglyphs as a language, and the photo and digital documentation and site preservation of these petroglyphs. And then basically a study of the cultures that, that left them. And the second, I guess, mission statement is going to be the other ancient cultures, of which one of these that would fit into this category is the underground cities, which we are here talking about today. A couple examples of that would be the Fusang culture that came here, the Roman colonies, and some of the hieroglyphic writings that don't necessarily fit into the same petroglyph category, that are obviously from a different culture, and perhaps even some of the metal plates, the gold plates, the copper plates, the clay tablets, and the lead plates. Some of that is probably from other cultures as well.
Right.
And then lastly, the Spanish occupation, which involves the missions, the mines, the travel routes, like Old Spanish Trail, their monuments that they left behind, the cache sites, burials. Some of their writings could be in the form of a carving in a stone wall or a tree, or an actual document that we're working on getting translated, some of the old waybills and maps and things.
Right. Now, the short of it is, NAPA, let me clarify. Okay?
Sure.
NAPA was created primarily for my primary interest, which is the study of the Native American petroglyphs as a written language. But over the years I found that intertwines, and it would take some time to explain, this intertwines with basically the untold history of the Americas. Things that just don't fit, and with the academic world. And these are the things that we're going to be focusing on. And like you said, covers the Native American petroglyphs, it covers the Native American archaeological sites, other cultures that have come to America, many of which a lot of people don't even know were ever here.
Right.
There were at times Chinese that came here as a Chinese people, but it's not what you would think. We're talking cultures that have been coming here ever since the days of King Solomon, and I couldn't tell you how much fun this is. And
a couple of cultures we may mention that people can look at and have been documented are, we're not really focusing on because we're in a different part of the country, but on the southern part of South America, there's evidence that the same groups of people that were the Aborigines in Australia, you mentioned the people on the islands, the Samoans, the Tongans and all that,
tied to the Hawaiians.
And then on the other end we've got the Vikings, the Norse, that came, Eric the Red.
And we've all heard of Prince Madoc, and we've heard the stories of Knights Templars, and believe me, there's a whole lot more to tell you about that.
But give a couple examples, Dan, of how the Spanish, or how the petroglyphs tie into the Spanish and these other cultures. And I can think of a couple of them but give from your own.
Well, I'm not quite sure.
While you're thinking about it, but like for instance, when you have a panel of petroglyphs, and then you have some Spanish writings on there, or they have Spanish horses on there depicted with the Spanish armor.
Well, sometimes the Native American petroglyph ties in with events that have occurred with the Spanish,
That overlap.
a previous culture, or what have you. And all of this has to be looked at as a hypothesis, okay?
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. Because I can't prove it. How else might that tie in?
Well, the underground cities, for instance,
okay,
you've got
various
you've got the
sites.
map site that shows the underground city, which also ties into the Spanish because we have obvious evidence of them in the area,
Right,
in the same area as the natives and this underground city, and
right, and all of that may have come from an old Latin map
Right.
with documented evidences of things that they seen long before the Spanish ever came here, which
Right.
would be your earlier cultures that we previously mentioned,
Right.
that most do not know were ever here.
Okay.
It's quite broad, but the focus is the Native American petroglyphs and anything that stems from or attaches to that in one way or another.
We've been talking a lot about the underground cities, and we've got off on a few tangents because there's so many things that tie back into this. But we're going to continue this series. We're going to bring in some other things and then branch out and show how, in reality, all history does tie back together. This NAPA research group that we're putting together and Dan's been working on for years is going to, we're raising funds for projects, for research, for preservation, for photographic documentation, for video documentation, to bring public awareness to this subject so that it's like Dan mentioned on that map rock, all the research that you did and put together and recreating photographically first and then digitally later has given more and more projects and evidence to the underground city, not only the underground city, but a lot of your other research, the key glyphs, other petroglyph sites. And so we'd encourage you to donate to NAPA, to this preservation group, and also you can purchase Dan's books that he's written, The Treasures of Utah. What are some of the other things that you have that people can purchase and do some of their own research?
Well, there's the 3 books that were written for research purposes. I never really had an intention of
Right.
putting them out there for the general public, but I don't mind that. And so there's those 3 books. They're only available at this time in PDF format. There has been a printing, but we will have another printing eventually. There's also the 2,600 PDF books and articles that I've made available to a serious researcher, people who like to read. There is also the historic map collection. There's actually 2 of those. There's one that's the first original USGS topographical maps, and it is organized by state.
And a lot of information on those maps that you don't find or has been taken off these newer maps.
Yes, it's important to know that these did not come from the USGS download website, where honestly you can get any one of these maps if you've got the time and patience to find them. Go for it. These have already been downloaded and they're already in folders and ready to go. Same thing with the PDF books. These books are readily available on the internet, and if you know where to find them, you can go download them absolutely for free. You are not paying for these collections per se. You're paying for the time and the effort in which I've taken all these years to collect them.
40 years of research and organization.
There are some other things, but I'm very selective on who
Right.
I would
But your newest, your latest book, The Treasures of Utah, that's available in PDF.
Yes.
And we're going to put a link below on this YouTube podcast here that will tell you how you can donate to NAPA. A link to the website toscoro.com,
Yes.
which is Dan's personal website. And we'll put the links down below so that you can see some of the things that we have available for researchers, and as we go through this series, you'll be able to do your own research and find the sources that we're using in our own presentations.
Right.
So you can verify that yourself, not just listen to us and yabba jabba doing over here. So that it'll give credence and credibility to what we're saying. Credibility.
Yeah. There is a basis to everything we've talked about here. These are not things we've just pulled out of thin air. There is a foundation to it. But as I've always said to everybody and anybody who is beginning to or embarking upon a journey of research, is you question all things. Find the most original source, make up your own mind, do it in your way, and have fun doing it.
One other thing I want to put a plug in here for is starting this summer, we're doing trips to, as we go out and do our research, we're going into the field, we're camping out, we're getting together in groups. It's a lot of fun. We hang out around a campfire, we tell stories, we use the tools, the technological tools that we have, whether it be metal detectors or aerial infrared or drones or whatever we're using in our research, and it's a good time and it's a reasonable expense for this trip, and it supports a good cause, it supports this research, and it gets you involved personally in what we're doing, and you can contact either me or Dan from the link below, and we can give you further details about those trips that are going to be going on through the summer. So.
Right. Thank you.
Yep.